Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Mika Wilkerson Show. Today, I am here with one of I don't know him personally, but I'm going to consider him a favorite guest because I am a wrestling fan, like always and forever. But he is from ArmBar Pro Wrestling, and let me tell you what. I have been to multiple shows of theirs, and I don't regret not one red cent that I have spent, nor because I got front row seats, and it's just amazing. It's interactive. You will have a blast. Bring your kids. And so we're going to get into meeting Jarrod, and I would like to go ahead and say what you do with ArmBar Pro Wrestling.
Well, I'm the ring announcer for ArmBar Pro Wrestling. I do some stuff behind the scenes too, some production work, things of that nature. But my main job is ring announcing, and I was doing play-by-play for a while, but we had a little change up in the personnel. So I really had never ring announced before, and we had one show where it was like, well, we need a ring announcer, and I was like, yeah, we do, don't we? And someone was like, well, you should do it, and I was like, okay, so I just did it. And since then, it's been actually it's like my favorite gig in wrestling that I've done so far. It's super fun. You get to kind of act as the host for the show. So,
think on the fly.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have a real lively audience that comes to our shows. They really like to participate and stuff too, so it's a good time.
So how long have you been involved in the independent wrestling scene?
Let's see. I worked for Rockstar Pro for probably like 18 months, I think.
I heard about them, yeah.
Yeah, from part of 2013 into almost 2015, I think.
Yeah.
I was a color commentator there, and then took a break for a while. And then when ArmBar Pro started, the owner, who's a good friend of mine, was like, "Hey, starting a territory," and I was like, "Well, of course, I'm in."
Right.
So that was let's see, 2.5 years ago. March of 2024 was our first show. And since then, it's just been onward and upward for ArmBar Pro, the fastest rising professional wrestling promotion in the country.
I definitely 1,000% agree. So, is that all you've done mostly is like ring announcing, and have you done wrestling?
Absolutely not. No. I am one of those people that I like to say I'm very self-aware. Bumps are not for me. I don't have the athleticism, right. And when I was young enough to get in the shape to be a wrestler, it was never my priority. So no, right. I was never a wrestler. Just have loved wrestling since I was a little kid, like everybody else.
Now, I wanted to get into your love for wrestling. Mm-hmm. What is the very first thing that you saw that you're like, oh, I got bit by the bug?
SummerSlam, 1988 from Madison Square Garden. I was 4.5 years old, sitting on my parents' floor at our old house. We lived in Norfolk, Virginia. My dad was in the Navy at the time, and it was the first show I ever saw, the first wrestling. It's like a lot of people are like, what do you really remember from when you're 4 years old? I'm like, man, I don't remember much, but I remember sitting on the floor on a pillow, like just glued to the TV watching professional wrestling for the first time, and it completely changed my life.
Right, and when you're younger, you're so emotional where, when something happens, you're like, he fell, did he die? Because you don't know the difference when you're younger.
Absolutely.
And the first moment that stands out for me is build up to Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, mm-hmm. where he finally slammed him.
Yeah.
That was one of the big moments I remembered, where I was just like, he would pick him up and I'd be like, then the end of the match and he picked him up and slammed him. Yes, like that kind of stuff.
It really depends on who you ask, but a lot of people would say that's probably the biggest moment in the history of professional wrestling. I mean, it's
right.
got to be up there,
mm-hmm.
for sure.
Oh, no doubt. And I don't want you to have to feel partial to any particular organization, but is there one wrestling organization where you're like, that is just my favorite, or are you fans of all of it?
ArmBar Pro Wrestling.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I love ArmBar Pro, and I love what we're doing, and I really do think that in terms of independent wrestling, we're on the cutting edge.
I believe
it just takes it's going to take the right amount of eyeballs to get on our product, and everyone's going to see. I think that we're on a different page than everyone else. We're doing things a little bit differently. But in terms of wrestling that I personally enjoy, when I kind of fell out with wrestling. I mean, as far as the Monday Night War is concerned, I was a Raw guy. Bret Hart's my favorite wrestler of all time, and I wanted to watch him. Even if I had to see a plumber and a hockey player and the Bastion Booger leading up to it, I wanted to see what Bret Hart was doing. I didn't really care what WCW was doing.
1,000%. I love Bret Hart.
Yeah. And but I kind of fell out with wrestling around the Attitude Era. I don't want to be a get off my lawn guy, but the way that they were going and the way that the product was trending, it wasn't really for me. So I kind of stepped out, and I did watch some of I watched a lot of ECW as it was happening, but didn't really. I was so young, I didn't really realize exactly what was going on. But around 06, I had a friend turn me on to Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And that opened up a whole new world. Not only for me, I had just kind of learned that there was an independent wrestling scene a handful of years prior with Heartland Wrestling Association, which was based out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Once I learned that there was like a whole independent wrestling scene, then that opened up just like a complete Pandora's box of all wrestling I hadn't seen. These people who weren't in the WWE, weren't in WCW, but Ring of Honor was really for me the linchpin that really like brought me to independent wrestling. And I had a buddy who was, I guess at the time at the forefront of technology, had a DVD burner.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Here, you'll love this." And it was, it was Samoa Joe, it was Jay Lethal, CM Punk, Alex Shelley. It changed my life.
Yeah, right, back in the day.
I just kind of figured by that point, I was like, well, maybe like so many other people, I kind of outgrew wrestling. And it's not really true. Like, I just kind of fell out with where it was at the time. And then it turns out there's this like whole other underground world that I hadn't discovered yet. And once that door opened for me, that was it. I was hooked.
Yeah, I noticed that, like, I don't know if all fans go through this. I went through the same thing. Like, my grandparents watched wrestling. My parents did. We did. I taught my kids to, but there were times I did fall out of love. Like what you were talking about. We're not completely out of love, but I didn't like how things were going. And my grandparents, they tuned down when the Attitude Era started. They did not want anything to do with it anymore. Yeah. And I watched it, even though a couple of things were kind of like, this is not good. But I noticed that I also fell out of love when, I don't mean to insult the Wrestling King, because Vince McMahon, regardless of how we feel about certain things, he was a mastermind behind making WWE what it was, or WWF or whatever. And there were times where he was putting these matches together and the results were ending bad. And I just was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. It was when Bray Wyatt and I think Seth Rollins, where they had the whole ring red, like everything was red. You remember? And then they had a sloppy ending and fans were booing. And that is when I kind of stopped watching a little bit, and I was like, okay, you're turning me off completely. Like, I can't take this. And then I fell back in love, and I feel like I got bit again, and independent scene, that drew me in. Yeah. Not the mainstream.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's like the music scene is kind of similar for me in that, WWE is the highest level for wrestling. So with music, it's like, who's the highest level in music or whatever. Those people... And you can understand like a band like Green Day or whoever that's on that level. Like maybe they become jaded to the experience, but like on the local level, like when I go to shows at bars or if I go to a club or whatever and see a band that I like, I still feel like they care and they still have the passion for it. Wrestling is a lot the same on the independent level. Being around the incredibly talented people that I'm around, working with ArmBar Pro Wrestling. It's such an amazing experience to be around all that talent, to be around so many people who care and love the business and want to be a part of it. That to me that's better than any pay-per-view I've ever seen, for sure.
I agree, because I enjoy an independent wrestling show honestly more than mainstream. I really do. It's more personable. You don't have to sit in the nosebleeds and be like, is that a wrestler? I loved, like I told you, the first time I got to see you guys' show was front row, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is what fans are like, and so I get it, and I would much rather come to your show than a mainstream.
Well, and that's part of how ArmBar Pro has become as successful as it has, is like the fan experience above everything was considered. Before we thought about the kind of wrestling we want to have or what we do or don't want to do or whatever in terms of what's in the ring, we thought about like when a wrestling fan who's like a 20-year-old like crazy person, or if it's a family of 4 or whoever it is, when they walk in, we want all of them to have the same thought of like, wow, this is big, this is cool, look at the lights and the smoke and the setting, and then everything, all of that was carefully considered and carefully constructed and curated for the experience for the fan. That was before we did anything else. We dialed that in and continue each show to dial it in a little more. New elements, whether it's, whether it has to do with lighting or sound or whatever it is. I know that a big thing for us was at the end of last year, we finally brought in like large TV monitors so that we could play entrance videos for our wrestlers, but also content that we're doing away from the ring, interviews and all that sort of stuff. And it's just like it seems like every show we add one or two new wrinkles, like we've been talking about now about replacing our set and things of that nature, and just really trying to keep in mind like when, whether we're in a room that can hold 500 people, whether we're in a room that can hold 300 people, whatever it is, we want everybody to walk in and feel like they're there for an experience. A lot of places are content with ring in the room, curtain in the back, everybody walks out, music plays on the boombox. And I got no problem with that. There's a lot of people that make hay doing that, and that's great.
Yeah, some people just do it right in the backyard, with the little ring. Yeah,
that's awesome for them, and if they're making money doing that, great for them. At ArmBar Pro, we think every person that bought a ticket deserves to be catered to with a complete and total experience, and we make that known.
Yeah, I believe it. I felt it. I can't speak about you guys enough because I love the interaction.
Sure.
I love the wrestlers coming out, high-fiving, and then going and leaning over and you're giving them a chair or stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's all part of a professional wrestling experience on the independent level. I think that ECW really kind of set the table for that. They set the table for not just like all the blood and the guts and all that stuff, but like the thing that made ECW so unique, it wasn't really the hardcore element of wrestling. It was more the way that the show interacted with the fans. The fans became the extra character in the environment. And that set a tone for what independent wrestling is now. Because that's really what ECW was. They were the really first big indie after the whole territory system kind of came to a halt.
Yeah, I've noticed over the years there's a lot more independence on the scene. You notice that? Mm-hmm. Like everywhere, like a lot of like House of Glory. I know, Hog Wrestling, and then we have, I believe,
we have Revolver that comes to Dayton.
Yeah, Wrestling Revolver.
Yeah, they come to Dayton.
And then there's, there were two wrestlers from WWE. It's a married couple, and they just started an independent organization. I don't know if it was Sarah Logan, was it?
Well, I know Nikki Cross.
And her husband.
They bought, that's what it was. I believe, Insanity Pro over in the UK. I think they purchased that.
Right. So that's why I said it's just so much going on, and I'm like, I guess you can watch wrestling basically from anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the cool thing about independent wrestling too is it can get a little weird. It can get a little territorial at times, very unjustly and very strangely. But in terms of ArmBar Pro, and I've told our talent this as they've come through the door and in and out and all that stuff, they work so many other places. And I was like, hey, like, we're open for business. Like, we want to work with other companies that are cool. Like, why wouldn't we want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to create, like, a decent network of areas where people can go to work and get exposure and
cross matches, like crossing over dream matches.
Yeah, wrestle in front of a new audience, get into a new area of the country. It just has to be the right fit, has to be the right people. That kind of thing. But that's all stuff that we've talked about doing in the future. Just trying to be different. One of the things about ArmBar Pro Wrestling that I love is that the gentleman that started the company, both of them, when I was asked about my involvement, they both said, we want to leave the business better than we found it,
Right.
And let me tell you, everybody says that.
I'm going to be clear.
Everybody says that. Just so we're clear. Everyone says that. I really think that ArmBar has put their money where their mouth is. And, I wouldn't want to work in a place that I felt like was just status quo, where I felt like, all of the trappings and the negative stuff in wrestling that the independent scene is known for was part of it. Like, I wouldn't want to be a part of that. So I love what we're doing, and I do think that we are the embodiment of leaving the business better than what we found it.
Absolutely. I know you leading into a little bit more about wrestling, then we'll talk about the shows. Why do you feel like, to me, it feels like there are wrestling organizations that get put and they start in Dayton, like you guys were in Huber and stuff like that. Why does it seem like so many of them do not stay put here in Dayton? Like, they have to go to this is not a bad thing, I'm saying, but I'm like wondering what is going on in Dayton. Is it because of lack of crowd? Is it because of expense? Like, I would love to see more like Dayton shows, or like Huber, closer around that area.
I think it's really just about where the opportunity is created and where the opportunity exists, and that includes not just the audience that would come and watch you, but your overhead is in terms of what building you're running in and all that sort of thing.
Right.
I think that might be the biggest issue, is just, promoters not finding the right and best situation. I know for ArmBar Pro, we're always looking around like the Dayton area proper so that we can try to find a foothold in, and just haven't found the right relationship with the right venue yet. But hey, we are looking, and our door is always open.
Exactly why I brought this up. That's
yeah.
why I was like, if there's somebody that is interested in having them, please, because we there's some big fans here, and we want to be able to see them everywhere.
Well, I think Dayton, at the heart of the city, could use its own wrestling promotion like it's had in the past.
Yes.
A wrestling promotion that is, not necessarily for Dayton by Dayton, but by Dayton and for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A wrestling promotion that appeals to wrestling fans of all ages and all backgrounds, which I firmly believe that ArmBar Pro Wrestling fills that void. But
I can co-sign and vouch for that. I really can.
yeah, it's just about finding the right relationship. We have such an awesome relationship with the Metropolis in Springfield that's owned by excellent people, veteran-owned, and it's the most beautiful and unique environment for wrestling that I've ever seen, and I'm glad that we get to be there and be part of it. But having an establishment that's Dayton proper would be awesome for us, and I think it would be awesome for the city of Dayton. It just comes down to relationships, finding the right people that want to fill their calendar with a family-friendly entertainment, but also can see the bigger picture and understand what a good wrestling product might be able to do for their facility.
Absolutely. Now, I know you guys have a couple of shows coming up. Can you go ahead and elaborate on where those are going to be at and dates and stuff?
Well, Saturday, June 27th, we are bringing the wrestling show that Piqua, Ohio has been waiting for. We will be at Piqua Center Saturday, June 27th for Reality Check. That'll be one you want to put on your calendars. We're just started releasing some of the matches this week. It's going to be a great card. It's going to be a lot of fun. We were actually there. Myself and one of the owners were there Sunday for a Comic-Con, and we had a booth, and we were just kind of promoting and talking to people, and it was a really good time, and we stirred up a lot of excitement for the event, so I'm really excited about that. In July, we will be back in Springfield at the Metropolis on the 25th, Saturday the 25th for Cruel Summer. August 8th, we will be at Wright State for a fitness expo. We'll be part of a larger show. Details for that are still kind of evolving, but we'll have information on that soon. August 22nd, we will be up north in Mercer County for Mayhem in Mercer. We'll be debuting Far From Home, so we'll see how that goes. But we have a really beautiful venue up there called the Shipyard. I'm really excited to see kind of our stuff, our setting, our whole situation put together in this huge building. Is going to be a lot of fun. And then October 3rd, we round out kind of the end of the summer, start of the fall with the Heritage of Flight Festival in New Carlisle, which was a blast last year. It was a huge crowd. It was a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to that one too.
So when you're doing these shows, are people only able to see them in person, or do you guys have a way for people to watch you live streaming? Or
well, we're working on that. We are a little behind on creating content in terms of match footage and all that sort of stuff. It's a work in progress. We're just trying to fine tune everything and get all the details perfectly right before we start unleashing additional content. That's something that we're trying to be very careful with. But as of right now, being there in person, having your ticket, that's the best way to see it. But we are working behind the scenes feverishly on a process to get our footage, our matches, and our shows out to people to watch via YouTube or whatever else. But for right now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, go to www.armbarproevents.com to buy your tickets.
Oh, awesome.
$20 for adults, $10 for kids 12 and under. You won't regret it.
And on top of that, where can they follow you on social media?
We're all over the place at just ArmBar Pro Wrestling.
So you're on pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, cool. Facebook, Instagram. I think there's a TikTok. I'm not super involved in TikTok. My wife always sends me TikToks, so I started a TikTok, and then I got into it a little bit. So
right after you get so many videos you can't open, then you're like, okay, I guess I'll join.
It's exactly what happened. Someone would send me a TikTok, and I would click on it, and it would take me to my web browser to watch it, and then eventually it stopped letting me do that, so I had to download it.
Right.
But I think we're on all of it. I think we're on everything. I think there might even be a Twitter or what is it, X now or whatever it is. I think there might be that too, but I don't really manage a whole lot of that, so I'm not totally sure. But it's just ArmBar Pro Wrestling. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. TikTok, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, now a couple of little fun questions before we have to wrap it up. Unfortunately, I wish I could go on with this forever because I love wrestling. What is your favorite mainstream storyline going on right now?
None. There's nothing happening in the international wrestling scene that really has my attention at the moment. I haven't watched.
Not even the Tribal Chief or any of that.
I haven't watched WWE since Elimination Chamber, and it's
wow.
kind of crazy. Like, it's just not for me right now. Like, I don't want to bash it or knock it.
I hear where you're coming from. Sometimes it just hits different. You know?
They just haven't really put out a lot of stuff that's got my attention,
Right.
Which is kind of crazy because for CM Punk to be the world champion and wrestling in the main event of WrestleMania, and me not really that interested in it, says a lot to me. But it's just not for me right now, and it comes in waves. It's cyclical. I'm sure they'll catch on to something that eventually will get my attention. But I like if I'm comparing the two, AEW and WWE, I probably like AEW more, although I'm not watching a ton of it either.
Look out for the strong matches that you want to see.
Yeah, exactly. You get a what I think AEW is doing well in response to WWE is they are focusing on wrestling. I think where they are coming up a little short is the adornment you're supposed to have around these great matches of storyline,
The build up, yes.
stuff that's it's complicated. It can get complicated, but it's always relatable. That's the difference. And quite frankly, that's what I think ArmBar Pro Wrestling is doing better than anybody else right now in terms of how we are using our talent and booking our cards. There's a lot more story element driven information, that comes across on our shows.
Yeah.
A lot of our wrestlers, we do a lot of backstage work with them on doing interviews and promos and all of that sort of thing. And I think that sets apart ArmBar from everyone else is we have like all of the great action that everyone would want, every style of wrestling, but we also really lean heavily into the character aspect of our product, and we let our wrestlers kind of show who they are aside from great athletes.
Yeah, because it's kind of annoying when you think about it. Like some people, like not you guys, but like WWE, it's almost like sometimes they just throw a storyline out there and it's like, it didn't make any sense. You didn't lead into anything. Where did this come from? And it looks like you guys just wanted to create something to push the match, but you're not in it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like back in the day when you'd watch character build up and storyline build up, you'd be invested by the time that match happened. Now I don't feel it anymore.
I think it's a lot harder world to do that in too, because WWE has, I don't even know, like 10 hours of mainstream television they have to fill every week.
Right.
That's a lot of TV to have to write. So I think it's a little bit different now. They've kind of, in my opinion, they started spreading themselves a little too thin, kind of overexposing their product, which led to them not being able to develop cohesion with their storylines and stuff. And
TKO doesn't seem like they're I don't even really think they're wrestling fans, to be honest, because like that, from my understanding, they bought the company. Of course, they want to make their money, but they're not somebody that's like Vince McMahon that started from jump. They're just somebody interested in making the money and seeing what they can make from it, but they don't understand how deep the business runs to make good storylines and all that.
It's a lot different. It's a lot different when you're answering to a stock price than your audience. That makes a big difference. For sure.
Right. Now, what storyline, this will be the last question for you, I'm sorry.
No problem.
What storyline is going on in ArmBar Pro Wrestling that should get everybody's attention right now?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question. We have so much interesting stuff happening right now. I would say the emergence of Troy Parker as the ArmBar Pro Heavyweight Champion. I mean, the run that he is on right now, I mean, it's one everybody needs to pay attention to. He's having some of the most incredible matches I've ever seen anybody have, regardless of where it is or who they're working with. But Troy Parker's emergence as the ArmBar Pro Champion, Damian Chambers and his continued horrific interaction with our audience and our general manager, JP Perry. We have a really great situation brewing right now between Aaron Williams, the Dead Ringer, and this gentleman, Benjamin Boone, who calls himself the greatest man that ever lived. They tore the house down at our last show, and then after the match, when Aaron tried to offer a handshake and sportsmanship, Ben kicked a field goal right between his legs, and it was brutal. And that's not over. That situation,
so
I think,
the vendetta's building.
Yeah, we have a lot going on right now, and we have so much new talent. We brought in 3 brand new faces. at the last show. A guy by the name of Atlas Hightower, someone you'll want to pay attention to. He's on his way up. He's emerging. But we have a long tenured tag team at ArmBar Pro. They're called the Ohio Ronins. Beck Reeves, case closed, and the Platinum Blade, Nick Altman. And for the last handful of events, I don't know what's going on with these guys. Miscommunications. They've both of them have missed appearances that have cost their tag team tremendous momentum, and it feels like they're both kind of blaming each other for it. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, as far as I know, they're still a tag team, but Nick didn't show up at the last event, and then Beck wasn't able to make the event before that. It's been kind of a hectic mess.
A lot of hit and miss.
One of the things I implore everybody to do is follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We have tons of content that really outlines the situations that are happening in ArmBar Pro that you need to pay attention to. Just go through and check out our reels on Facebook, and we try to make it really easy on everybody. Like you can't have a wrestling show with storyline and more of the character aspect of things and not give your audience a viable way to digest it. You can't do that. So our social media stays really active with that, and we just encourage everybody, like, stick to our Facebook, stick to our Instagram, because we're posting all of the interviews and all the promos and everything that everyone's doing that will kind of keep you up to speed with what you need to know. That's the place.
The in-betweenies that tell you what's going on with the match coming up.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. If you have never listened to me before, listen to me now. Watch ArmBar Wrestling. Go to their shows. You will not regret it, because I'm a big fan, and I can't wait to go to another show. Me and my husband love going. But thank you so much for showing up and being here to do the show and talk and chop up wrestling with me.
Sure.
And stay tuned for another episode coming next week, and we will see you next time.